Well, it's almost 9 in the morning, Saturday, Hope, BC, August 10. The living handyman in Unit 3 is having a smoke with his old Milwaukee beer. The old owner, Charlie, he was putting a mattress in upstairs and he asked me to help him, which I thought was odd because the handyman was hanging around. But I guess his back is wrecked and he can't actually lift anything. Anyways, it was 7 in the morning. And like 7:04 exactly in the morning. I'm just lying in bed. I'd just woken up, but I hadn't got out of bed, hadn't made a sound. And some guy's talking at my door. The rooms, the walls are very thin. He was talking about he didn't want some Indo guy suing him. And the day before, same voice. Again, I couldn't see him because I can't waste my time to open the curtain. Was saying that the Indo guys were calling him Bakala, which is a insult like being a fag, but doesn't translate correctly. The only time I ever saw it at a workplace, it was a very large, muscular Indo guy saying it to a very small Indo man. And immediately the boss, who was an Indo himself, confronted him and said, no, we don't operate like that. You never say that word to anyone ever. And no one ever repeated it again. That was SPF Lumber Cut. And I believe that company's still in operation. Anyways, the guys talked for about 3 minutes. He said that Jay wants me to tell people that his set is legit. All I know about this Jay guy, I've never met him. No one has ever said, hey, Greg, this guy is Jay. Or here's a picture of me and Jay. Mel Hankey out in Edmonton, he was on the phone with some guy named Jay. And he said Jay was running 6 girls and that Jay would give the 6 girls to me if I got with him. I have many things in life. I've gone after people with knives, baseball bats, various threats. I'm not a pimp. I never will be a pimp. If I was a pimp, I'd probably give them a retirement package. Anyways, various people have told me stuff about Jay, that he shoots people, that he's a transvestite. Several people have told me he sells cocaine. The cops here in town mentioned him, but I forget what they specifically said. I was at the Cloverdale Fairgrounds for Canada Day this year. I put the video up. It's on my YouTube channel. And you see some girls giggling, talking about that Jay danced naked for a bunch of Hells Angels in their clubhouse. If you're in crime, I suggest you stay away from this Jay guy. He seems to be a walking cluster. And if you're a legit person, a square or whatever, how you self-define yourself, definitely stay away from him. Oh, the handyman just gave a middle finger to the Indo girl who pointed at her tits to me. No one wants to get with it, the old handyman with the bad back with the morning drinking problem. Whatever the voice was talking, he was saying, we don't like that you don't say hi to us. Well, all I know is when people show up here and they threaten me or insult me, you guys never verbalize back at them. So, whatever. The guy was saying various other stuff. When I was homeless 17 years ago, I was staying at the 135 A Street homeless shelter run by the Dutch Reformed Church. Bad scene, badly run. The most toughest guy there was a big muscular guy with a black leather jacket who, my first meeting of him, he was hanging by the front door and he pantomimed shooting a needle into his neck, which I took to mean I'm a hopeless junkie. We once had a guy show up who was known as an informer. Various people told me privately or in a group setting that that guy's an informer, and I did eventually see the guy meeting with RCMP in public. Anyways, all this guy, muscular guy, did to him was he punched him once in the head. He did that in front of me and some other people. The guy didn't run off. And I could tell he was upset that he had to do that. Like, I used to be a major enforcer. Now I can just punch a guy once in the head. I can't do the time. So while I'm staying at this badly run place and there's people there divvying up stolen property and guys tripping on acid, a woman was sexually assaulted. A guy grabbed her breasts right there in front of everyone, including the staff. And people were asking me to call the cops. I don't have a cell phone, and you all know that, geniuses. Anyways, there was a guy hanging around, and I had seen him on the street. He had some size, but not the same, but it wasn't all muscle like the guy with the leather jacket. And he was wearing old clothes, not any sort of nice clothes. And I'd heard talk about a guy named Terry Reiter being some kind of badass killer. And I know some woman named Reiter owed money to the Hells Angels. She was a gambler. The official story is suicide. I heard it was murder, and that's the story I believe. Hells Angels don't like you owing them money. So this guy, after hanging around a bit, starts saying he's Terry Reiter, and he's talking tough. But he isn't fighting anyone. He isn't hitting anyone, and he isn't stealing anything. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, he shows up, and he isn't talking tough, and he isn't saying he's Terry, and he's missing his 2 front teeth. They took the pliers to him and ripped them out. Various people had told me that's how we do it in Wally when you owe money. We either slash your tendons in the back of your ankles, or we rip your teeth out. I'm not into drugs, so it wasn't a problem for me. Someone later on told me that Terry Reiter thing you saw at the homeless shelter, we've been doing that for years, or they, whoever they are, has been doing it at least 3 times. They give a guy a rep that's got some sides that looks like he could be this person, and then they see what happens. And when he's played out, they flush him down the toilet. Well, I'm going to grab some food, maybe have a big nap. I posted on the Van General group of Google groups, it's also on Usenet, various times about Terry Reiter and the homeless shelter on 135A Street and the Dutch Reformed Church. So if you want to check that out, check it out. It's free. All you need is a web browser to use Google Groups. Usenet is a bit more complicated. Have a good one. Oh yeah, I walked around for 3 hours on Friday night in Hope last night. Nice enough walk. Nothing really interesting worth reporting. Walked by the self-described dive bar. 9 people, all young, at 11:30, and that was it. Some person, though, I have to say, nicely dressed East Indian couple, young, and they said Greg doesn't have anything against immigrants. And I said, yes, immigrants are welcome. And that is true. But I've been pretty consistent about my thing about immigrants for years. Cut immigration to 50,000 a year. This 500,000 a year has been a total bust. And if you've been ruled by a court to be deported, you should be deported. We have 495,000 people with orders for removal from Canada, supposedly, and we only deport 18 a year. and it's hard to find the info on the number of people ordered deported. You can find the actual information on the number of people actually deported quite easily, and I'm always suspicious when government doesn't make information easy to find. Well, I've been talking for 10 minutes, so I'm getting out of here.